Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Mignotti here. Dude, I just finished round 5 of the 2023 Nations Cup, and let me tell you, man, this race was intense. Don't believe me? Well, check this out. It had my pedals looking like this, and my head looking like this. So stick around, let's dive in. Okay, so round 5 in Group 1 cars around Interlagos, one of my favorite circuits to race on, and obviously for this track, really only the 919 hybrid is viable. Now, before you ask, McNaughty, what happened to your round 4 video? Did I miss it? No, you didn't miss it, but I'll give you the highlights right here. So you see why I didn't make a video? Okay, so hopefully round 5 goes a little bit better for us here. Hopped into my first qualifier, 5 minutes, which usually gives you around 3 tries if you're in the first spot, and luckily for me, I once again get to come out of the pits first, so I'll have the most amount of time to get around the track. What's interesting about this one is that you don't really get a sense of whether you're in the lead or not because it takes so long to get out of the pits. Trying to keep the tire temperatures up, not spin off too early as we go around the final corner and onto the long main straight. With the 919 hybrid, it really seems important to keep the car in a straight line because if you're turning the wheel a little bit too aggressively, then you will lose the hybrid deployment. As we go through the Senna S's, just trying to keep the car stable through the corner as fast as possible. Now, this turn is deceptively slow. You got to be sure to not put any wheels outside of the track because it likes to basically just suck you to the outside, and you'll get a half-second penalty to boot. Into Sector 2, the technical section, a lot of tight corners, and it's easy to spin off if you go too far to the inside. You got to be very sensitive on the throttle to make sure that you don't end up spinning out and then you ruin your lap and probably the next lap because your tires are dirty. Now, as we go through the final corner again, we're going to try and get the car as straightened out as possible. As you can see, the battery deployment is happening just up until about 150 miles per hour. Taking the shortest path to the finish line, which is all the way up on the inside, for a first qualifying time of 1 minute 19.9 seconds. And as we come around again, the second time through, a slight improvement, but we're still about 4 tenths off the lead from allegedly 79. Now coming around for the final time, as we manage to get 3 laps in, I actually don't improve, so as it stands now, I'm going to be just under 4 tenths of a second behind the leader, which is good for P4 on the grid. But I know I could have gone faster. So after qualifying is completed, I feel pretty confident that I should be able to get a pretty decent result here. Alright, here we go. As I'm rocking probably the very first livery that I've ever made. As you can tell, it's very bare bones. Doesn't even have the current logo on it, but hey, listen, you gotta start somewhere, right? Dipping back into the roots as we get started here. Trying to make sure I don't hit the rev limiter, and I think I accidentally do in third gear. being careful not to send it too hard and make any contact with anybody through turn 1, because I can't say it enough, the race is not won in turn 1 or 2 or 3. And I believe this is turn 4 down here, and I'm just trying to take it easy, and I get absolutely murdered by the Canadian driver in the pink Porsche 919. And that is actually just going to set off a chain of events that have this being more of my regrettable races. I have dirty tires, I have damage in the rear tires, no rear downforce, so it's really causing a problem for me as I just continue to slip down the pack. And as you can see there, no downforce means you're definitely spinning. So already I'm falling to the back of the pack, and later on I slip up in the same place, this time without damage. By the time we get to lap 12, I managed to catch up with the pack. Some people pit early, and I'm having a battle here with a kid named Frank. He's going to have the inside for this corner here, but I think in general my pace was faster than his, but again, having the inside definitely helps. I try to dive for the apex of the corner, get bumped a little bit outside, and then when I try to recover, another spin. By the end of the race, lap 23, I catch up to Frank again, but then I have yet another spin. So what's our spin counter at? 5 spins now? And on the penultimate lap, I go wide, get myself a half-second penalty. And like I said, this first race was definitely one to forget. And because I could not make the 7 p.m. Eastern window, I'm down to my final shot. I only have one chance to try and get some points. Otherwise, P last again for 2 rounds in a row. That's not going to look good for my tally. So in this last attempt at the Nations Cup, did a quick check. It's a little bit lower of a split. I mean, as expected for coming in last place last time. 188 points up for grab, so that's not insignificant. But you're going to see our buddy Kevlar is in this levy yet again. I don't know how to do a Nations round and not have Kevlar in there with us. So let's see if he's going to be challenging us up at the front, or if there'll be someone new who takes on that role of challenging us for the win. I say win as if my previous attempts were that great, but we'll see. I did practice in that 2-hour time frame between races, just trying to improve my time, and I'm hoping as qualifying begins, I'm able to get out of the pits first again and get 3 uninterrupted runs around the track. And look at that, lucky me. I don't know what I'm doing to be able to come out of the pits first, but I just hope that I keep doing it, whatever it is. Internet connection, hacks, whatever it is. So we're gonna go ahead, get out of the pits, try to warm up our tires. My first lap was 120.2, which was not great. As you can see, Dr. Marco immediately surpasses my time. The second time around wasn't much better, but the third time around I was able to cross the line with a 119.3, which was my best time of the day, and Dr. Marco comes in right behind, only 0.029 seconds slower. So you can tell it's going to be a pretty tight race. There's a lot of competition between P1 and P10. It's just over a second. So it's really up for grabs. Anybody can win here. So let's see how it goes. Alright, now this time I'm starting from pole, and I did do a livery switch to Starry Night livery, so big shout out to the maker of that livery, whose name I can't remember quite at the moment, but I'll definitely put a link to their profile in the description. Looking for a little bit better luck here. Don't have to really worry about anyone braking in front of us because we're starting from pole. But just need to be mindful of anybody trying to send it into turn 1, which, as we go through the Senna S's, it looks like we're pretty much safe. Now I'm going to try and push as hard as I can for this first lap or so. Deploy as much battery as I can to try and increase the gap between Dr. Marco behind. As you can see now, I'm already struggling to increase that gap, even with straight lining the car as quickly as possible to deploy the battery. He's bouncing between a 0.2 and half a second, and it just looks like he has so much more grip around the corners. I can't be sure, but it seems as though he's starting on the soft tires. And as you can see, I'm starting on the mediums, going for the stronger tire at the end with a combination of a lighter car. I'm just hoping that that can help me out as we go through the last corner of turn 1, trying to break the slipstream. You can tell he's not being dropped here. He's definitely fighting hard. I want to be careful because I can't push as much as I was on the qualifying laps because we're on the harder compound, and I don't want a repeat of what happened last time. And I definitely don't want to be in a situation where I'm fighting the urge to throw a controller on the wall, you know what I mean? As I almost go wide there, he's coming right back into the picture, so I'm going to have to go semi-defensive. No, actually, I guess I judged that he was a little bit too far back. But by the time we get into lap 3, as we come out of the Santa Essence again, that corner, which I said was deceptively slow, I decided to take it a little bit too fast. And I actually just about keep it on track, but I lose so much time, and Dr. Marco gets the overtake done. Now, it's gone from me defending to me just trying to stay as close as possible. But I knew that based on our qualifying time, he couldn't be that much faster than me, so it had to be a tire difference. But you can tell just in the span of a couple corners, he's already a second ahead. Now, by the time we get to lap 12, this is the point where I'm going to find out for sure if my suspicions are true. He's managed to gain, to accumulate a 4.5 second gap, which if he's not on soft tires, then this race is pretty much done. I'm fighting for second place. But as we goes into the pits, we're going to see that our suspicions are true and that he was on the soft tire. So now it's time to push. I have one more lap on the medium tires, and I'm really hoping for a strong in lap and some traffic for him on his out lap. Combining that with the tire advantage that I will have, that should be able to assist me in closing up the gap. Okay, so into the pits I go, and I'm just trying to avoid coming out of the pits and being stuck in traffic. And for the most part, it seems that I've been able to avoid that. And there's only one person between Dr. Marco and me, and that's Avu. But now this is it. Pit stops have been made by Dr. Marco and myself. One person in between us, 3 people in front of Dr. Marco who presumably are going to pit. Tire advantage and 11 laps to try and catch up and overtaking. Now into the main straight, I see that Avu has gone wide, so now I'm thinking this is the opportunity to strike. I got to get as close as possible as P3 and P4 go into the pits. Those are 2 free positions for me to take. Close the gap on the main straight, but you can just see just with the battery deployment, in normal circumstances that overtake probably would have been done, but the battery power actually makes up for a lot in these cars, making it very, very difficult to overtake on the straights. You can see he has worn tires, whether they're soft or medium doesn't matter. They're very worn, and I'm on brand new softs, and on that straight I was only able to gain maybe a 10th. So if I want to get an overtake done, it's going to have to be done in this technical section here, Sector 2. As I go up the inside, and Vu does not fight it. It's probably beneficial to us both for him not to fight. It'll only increase our total race time. So now There's 9.8 seconds to the lead, but the leader hasn't pit, so I am just under 5 seconds behind Dr. Marco, and I have 10 laps to try and reduce that deficit. Now we're going to fast forward here to lap 18, and you can see Dr. Marco and Sir Knight's Reign, they're battling it out. And them fighting has allowed me to quickly decrease the deficit to 2.1 seconds. Now, my hope here is that Sir Knight's Reign has pretty much held up Dr. Marco for a couple laps here. And I'm thinking that he's going to have to pit soon. So I'm really hoping that he dives into the pits, and then it'll just be a one-on-one battle for the last 7 laps of this race. Okay, so he does go into the pits. I'm 2 seconds behind, but the battery power is there. It's going to make it difficult as I set the fastest lap of the race. By the time we get to lap 21, I am right on his gearbox, but we have a yellow flag, so I can't overtake him. Although that would have been a prime opportunity to do so, I would have collected a 3-second penalty. So the pressure's really on. I got to be patient here as we come up upon a back marker. Is he going to hold us up like what happened to us in round 3, or are we going to be able to get by it quickly? And he graciously moves out of the way for both of us. And we go into the final turn. Now I'm right on him in his slipstream, deploying the battery, but the deficit is not decreasing at all. It's 0.5 of a second from when we started on the back straight, or on the main straight rather. And by the time we get to the end of it, maybe 0.5 of a second came off. So the battery power is making it really difficult to get an overtake done, but he does have a slip there. Unfortunately, I have a slip too. And he's able to take way more advantage of my slip than I was of his. So, guys, this is tough. We're coming down to the final stretch here. Only 3 more laps after this one, and I gotta get this overtake done. Battery power is really neutralizing my attempts to overtake, but we're going to go into the technical section again, and my soft tires, despite being worn, should have an advantage over him to close that gap, hopefully, before we get into the next main straight. Now going into the final corner. Unfortunately, I get a bout of oversteer, and I almost completely bin it. So the pressure has ramped up even more. 3 laps, 2.5 seconds now. Am I going to be able to close this gap? Surely I'm going to have to take a lot more risks. Push the car as if it were qualifying laps, and essentially run the risk of binning it and ruining my own race. But I've come so far. We've been racing for 30 minutes. Look at that timer down there in the bottom left corner. 30 minutes of effort, not including the last round. I gotta go for broke. Now, as we get through this technical section, I've been able to decrease deficit back down to 2 seconds. But I know that I'm gonna have to push harder as it goes slightly right on the last corner, but I'm able to collect it, get the car put in a straight line to deploy the battery early, or at least earlier than Dr. Marco. So now the deficit is 1.7 seconds with 2 laps to go. Can it be done? Can I make this overtake happen? Can I even catch up to him? Through the Senna S's again, cutting as much of the corner as I can. Really throwing caution to the wind here. Now we're 1.4 seconds behind. Setting a purple sector on the second to last lap of the race with worn tires. It can only mean that I'm trying to push this car as much as I can, as close to the absolute limit as possible. Heading into the technical section, trying to clip every apex, not put any tires on the grass, but push as hard as humanly possible, because I know his tires are crying out as well. He gets a bout of oversteer. I'm able to get a clean exit. I have to let off the throttle there to make sure that I don't violate track limits again. Get a pretty clean exit, straight line the car again. Batteries being deployed. And going into the last lap, I am still 9/10 of a second back. I'm going to need a miracle. He's going to need to make a mistake. He went wide. Going into the Senna S's. It seems like he's taking risks too. Getting his tires dipped into the grass a little bit there. But as I said before, the battery power can really make up for a lot of things, even on the tire that is slower. Our last time going into the technical section. Cutting as much as the curb as I can. He's starting to go wide. His tires are dead. All I need to do is just put enough pressure on for him to make a mistake. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. As we go to the final turn, this is the last chance. A lot of people have slipped up here. He cuts the grass, manages to keep the car in a straight line, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get it done, but we are able to collect a good amount of points. I'm telling you, man, when this race had me sweating, it had me sweating. This race had me absolutely drenched. I had to take a shower after. It was crazy. And it was only a two-way battle. Imagine if like all 10 of the people who I mentioned before that were within 1.2 seconds of the lead were all battling. Oh my goodness. But big shout out to Dr. Marco for being able to pull home the victory. That's going to be it for the video, guys. If you liked what you saw, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe, tune into the live stream. We live stream Monday through Thursday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm McNaughty, and I'm out of here. I'll see you in the next one.